Good day, folks. I've been running these Seachem Tidal 110s for a few years now. They're great little things, particularly with the skimmers. They're quite the unit. So, as I said in a previous video, I'd be removing my Fluval 407 and replacing it with a Tidal 110. So I'm going to run you through how I set it up and give you some tips on how to make it actually a little more efficient than what it is. So we'll get started. Basically unboxing a used filter. Lid shows you. It's handy but ineffective in my case. Extension tubes, attachments, the internal basket. Got a lot to say about that. And the huge volume case that comes with it. So we'll get started with the important things. The setup of the internal cage, if you will, is pretty simple. So I'll unpack and explain the repack. So here you have the internal cartridge. Water comes in from the bottom, flows up and over the edge out into the tank. Of course it gets sucked in through there. The thing is, these ridges at the bottom here tend to make indentations in your foam that they provide, which reduces the effectiveness and over time actually wears out the foam. If you just leave the initial foam that they ship with it, then you'll have an issue with the weight of all the media that you'll want to put on top. So I'm in Canada. I went to Canadian Tire and got some gutter guard and just cut it out to the shape of the foam and put that in there. And that supports any foam you put in there evenly. I also got some gutter guard foam because it's very firm and relatively coarse, non-toxic. I put that in. Went to 1 fish, 2 fish. Got some 1/2 inch, medium coarse foam. Cut that to size, put that in. Got a very thick one, cut it in half and then cut it the size of this one. That's a finer foam. That may seem straightforward. This is a bypass here. These ridges are also a bypass that would stop your filter from overflowing if you were neglectful and let it get clogged. Same with these holes here. Water comes in, circulates, supposed to go through the bottom. If it gets clogged, where's the water got to go? It's going to come up here because there is a space. Ponguro suggested putting in foam here. it really does reduce the overall flow and forces it to go around rather than through. It slows it down too early because it comes in here, hits here, and goes down. So my solution is simply take a piece of fine foam, doesn't even matter what it's shaped like. This was, I don't know where this came from, but I had it. Put it in here to block these holes. You'll be surprised how much water comes up, flows through here, captures debris, just like regular foams in here, except it catches a lot larger stuff that would be returning back to the tank. In order to keep this in place, I was using the Seachem and the bags that came with it, but the bag was fouling more than the fine foams because the bag is so fine. So at first I tried the bio balls, and they just deteriorate from dumping them out, putting back in, dumping them out, putting back in. So I tried going with the Fluval Biomax. Actually, I'll weigh that up for you and tell you how much that I put in there initially. So basically, I'm going to weigh it up and see what we have. Put a little scale, do a tear. 0 grams, there we go. I think this is what I was using on the 40 gallon that I had. So that here we have 527 grams of Biomax. What I intend on doing is removing this little thin guy, just leaving the 2 gutter guard pieces, the finer foam, putting this foam in here, and adding these in here. It looks like, you know, I want to fill it up level here. It looks like I'll get maybe an additional 500 grams in there. So that would support 1 kilo of Biomax in there. So that's a big plus, especially since I'm going to remove the other filtration and go with 2 Seachem Tidal 110s. So I'll be happy with that. The Seachem Tidal 110 that's already on the 75 has no stem on it, simply because you can control the flow here. You can open it up, control, whatever. So I have this closed and it's just sitting in the tank, basically as a skimmer, and part, you know, water goes in through here, 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 and of course through the skimmer section here. But now, once I go with the 2 Seachems, I'll be opening this up . And inserting it, oops, and inserting it like this. So it looks like a true hang on the back with a super large volume of biomedia and sponge filters. And we'll see how the pH and the nitrates go after about a month of running just these 2. I like these. They're adjustable, make them level. control the flow here as well. Easy to take apart, easy to clean. Don't know if I'm going to get this off. My hands don't work as good. I'll have to get a tool. So, a very thin-tipped standard screwdriver will assist you greatly if you're like me. You just put it in there, lifts it off the little groove. I'll show you the grooves when I get it off. You just wiggle it. This one's been in place for quite some time. There we go. So the little indentations that are in the box here is what holds it on there. And also inside you can see where the stem goes. The impeller, of course the submersible motor, completely silent until the water level gets down to here, then it starts sucking air, right? So gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. You remove this, just push this back, and there's your motor, impeller, clean, whatever you want to do. This pops off. Simply. Again, my hands don't work like they should. So we'll go with that. Pops off. You can clean your impeller. Look at the blades on that. Pull this out. Oh, yes, the cover. This is what stops sand and whatnot from getting in around the magnet. That's a real good feature nobody talks about. So you unscrew this, little arrows telling you unlock and lock. So got to turn it backwards a bit. Once it's unlocked, it doesn't want to come out. Maybe I've turned it a little too much or not enough. Not enough. So there we go, and it comes out. You can brush your magnet, you can clean the hole where the brushes are. Back in. It only goes on one way, so there we are. Hook it back on. This is the reason I'm going to this. So much easier to clean. Take it. Get the shroud back on there. And this you only need to clean once a year, if that. When you start to get reduced flow and whatnot, you know, you'll know. Because you'll have used it for a year. You'd be wondering what's going on. This is all dry and hard, and like I said, my hands don't work like they're supposed to, so this is what we get. So there it is. And then you just slide it back on. You can clean in here. You have access to in here. If you want to take this off, again, your trusty little screwdriver, you just apply a little pressure here. Slides right off. You just wiggle, 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 out it comes. And here's your adjustment for flow. Clean that all up, clean down in there. Insert it. if I can. Yeah, you can see the hole there. And there we go. Goes in there. Just verify you've installed it correctly. It should stop. People have had issues with that because they turn it too much and bend the tank, and then they can't get it to like shut off. The flow will continuously flow, but very low. So then you take this and you just push it back on, and it's ready to go. That's what keeps this in place. You put your motor back on. Feed your power cable back in through the groove. That would be a good indicator that you've positioned everything right as well. Maybe I need a little more cable in it. There we go. There we are. When I install it, I make sure that's nice and flat behind the tank. So this goes back on. Of course, your stem goes on the stem side, on the intake side. Snaps back on. Put your stem on and you're good to go. Piece of cake. Brush this clean. That's why I really like these. Take your cartridge, plop that in there, lock it in place. I've never had one lift up, so I'm thinking this is here to keep that there. Why not have a dual purpose, keep the basket in there? So that's basically it. I love my Tidal 110.